Man, what is happening, my YouTube family? Of course, it is your boy B New. I'm coming at you on this Monday morning. First and foremost, as always, man, just positive vibrations and blessings out to everybody. Hope you enjoyed your holiday weekend. Now, with all that being said, you know that on yesterday was the rematch of the Los Angeles Lakers at home taking on the Detroit Pistons. And I won't say a highly anticipated matchup, but an anticipated matchup nonetheless because of the interaction that happened between LeBron James and A1 Isaiah Stewart. And then no need to get into the details of all of that because we have already pounded that subject enough. But more so on the game and what happened and how it ended up being 110 to 106 as the Lakers ended up prevailing in that game, in a game that should have really been a blowout. And to me, the Lakers have yet to show, and I still think they have potential. And I know I've been saying I'm not worried, and I'm still not worried. And I'm not going to sit up here and celebrate and just have a big, huge victory because the Lakers went out and beat Detroit at home like they were supposed to do. That's not what I'm going to do. But with all that being said, the Lakers have not beat a team by double digits except for one time this year, and that was against the lowly Houston Rockets. So the Lakers need to show more killer instinct than what they're showing, especially against these lesser teams and bottom feeder teams, which right now the Lakers are what you call a middle of the pack team. But we know what the potential that they have and what they are capable of doing. And one thing that I saw from the Lakers on yesterday was a lot better ball movement than what they've been playing. And I saw that last game. And I see it's starting to all come together for the Lakers as far as them moving the ball. And the LeBron James and the Russell Westbrook experiment, to me, is actually going pretty well because they are learning to play with each other. They've only played, 8 or 9 games together now. And I think they're playing pretty good. I tried to research. If anybody can find this stat for me, I would greatly appreciate it. I know there's some kind of way to get this stat, but I was unable to find it. I was in a time crunch, but I would appreciate if somebody could find this stat for me. Out of Russell Westbrook, 175 assists or whatever assists that he has on the year, how many of those assists were to LeBron James? And out of LeBron James, 85 or 90 assists or whatever he has so far this year, how many of those assists were to Russell Westbrook? Because, and I know it's not all about them just assisting each other when they're on the floor together, because they have to be able to score and still also create for other people that are on the court. But I find it, I thought it would be an interesting stat. I'm sure it's not that many because they haven't played that many games together. But what I noticed last night, they were assisting each other. And the ball was not just stagnant on isolation plays. Russell Westbrook was breaking down the defenses and creating for others. And on that one play when LeBron was all the way across the court, they were on each corner. And when Russ found LeBron over in that corner, and it was a really high pass, but he made sure he threw it extra high to get over the hands of the defense, the defenders that were in the middle of the floor. And LeBron was able to catch that ball almost back into the Detroit bench with one hand and bring it down just like this and hit the fadeaway 3 in the corner. And of course, LeBron did have a 3 going on last night, which he shot over 40%. I think he ended up being 4 out of 9 from 3, if I'm not mistaken, which it should have been more like 4 out of 6, or at worst 4 out of 7. But he took some threes that I don't think he really should have. He came out hot and then kind of cooled off, and then he took some threes where I felt he should have been driving it more to the hole. He just kind of settled, and that's part of the reason why the Lakers blew that lead as well, because when they get up on a team, at one point they went on a 16-0 run, which was their best run of the season, and you could tell that they were really playing with each other. But what actually sparked this run was the defense. The defense really sparked the run. The defense forced a lot of turnovers during that run, and all those points were leading to easy baskets. And I mean, some of the assists that where LeBron found Westbrook and AD on the fast break was just beautiful, throwing lobs. Some of the lobs that LeBron had to DJ were good, and of course DJ got to start again, which I don't think there's anything wrong with the Lakers going big, because when the Lakers do go big, that gives them a rim protector, and that allows AD to come out and try to shoot that jump shot a little bit more when he is playing the 4 and get him a break from playing the 5 instead of banging around so much, because we all know that, not saying he's feeble, but, as far as, his injury status, and not saying playing center will get him more injured, but at the end of the day, I really don't like him playing center the full season at the 5. I do like him playing, don't get me wrong, I like him playing center at the end of the game and during certain stretches of the game, depending on how the other team is matching up. Because even though DeAndre Jordan is not what he once was, he still can get you easy buckets down in the paint off easy looks from both LeBron and Westbrook, who give him a lot of easy looks when they break down the defense. And he's still a rim protector at the end of the day. And so is AD for that matter. But, it's nothing wrong with having both of them out on the court at the same time, dependent on the matchups. Now, if you're playing a Denver or somebody of that nature, then maybe not. But at the end of the day, I just feel like the Lakers are really starting to figure out these lineups and what it is they want to do. LeBron James and Russell Westbrook both had 9 assists apiece. So they were getting others involved. I want to say they had 32 assists for the game to Detroit's maybe 29 assists. So that lets you know that there was ball movement. The ball was not just sitting still and being stagnant. The Lakers for the game shot 50% for the game, which is pretty good if you can go out and shoot 50% for the game. And they held Detroit to 43% for the game. So the Lakers were actually playing good defense. THT was playing pretty good defense. There were plays where he caught a defender in the air and got a jump ball, had a nice block and a steal. LeBron James was active on the stealing end. AD was active on the defensive end. Carmelo even showed some glimpses of defense last night, which was good because he just could not find his shot. And once again, I want to say Melo was like 0 for 6 or 0 for 7 from 3. And I would wish that, when he is cold like this, that Frank Vogel, there's nothing wrong with letting Bazemore get in and just seeing what somebody else can do, especially considering that Bazemore does play defense, unlike Carmelo. But, Monk, he was cold, but he had a big shot. The dunk that he caught from LeBron was nice, on the fast break. And he actually played pretty good defense as well. And as a whole, the Lakers played good defense up until the fourth quarter, because every quarter they held Detroit in the 20s, the first quarter, the second quarter, and then, of course, that all-important third quarter, which they had been doing terrible, but LeBron did allude to after the game that they had won 5 of the last 8 and now 6 of the last 9 third quarters. So now, when they made something a point of emphasis, then they went out and they did execute. And that shows me that they are improving as a team, regardless of who they're playing. Now, if you look at that Sacramento team, they went to triple overtime with. Sacramento went out and played a hell of a game. And then Sacramento turned around and went out and laid an egg against Memphis. And Memphis was lacking Ja Morant. And they still beat Sacramento by 30 points. So that's what the Lakers need to do. When they're up on these teams, they need to be able to put their foot on their gas and the foot on the other team's throat and be able to take them out and go ahead and put the game away. And while I was watching the game, the commentators even said, that teams don't fear the Lakers. I think James Worthy and some other people have said that before, because they know, regardless of the lead, that the Lakers are allowing other teams to get back into the game. And just as they called it, here came the other team right back into the game. And the Lakers were able to hold off the push. But, for your defense to give up, I think it was 36 points in the fourth. They gave up 36 points in the fourth quarter versus every other quarter they were giving up 24, 25 points a quarter. But at the end of the day, they made the necessary plays. But those were adjustments, that the Detroit coaching staff was making. Dwayne Casey, he made some great adjustments. He basically, went small with his second unit. He came in and went completely small, and they started to just pick up the pace and play some of that Mike D'Antoni style offense, to where they didn't want to get too far into the shot clock, no more than 8 or 9, 10 seconds into the shot clock, in order so they could come back to get themselves the extra possessions by going quick down on every play and just passing the ball around the key and just getting the best three-point shot that they could. And as a young team, Detroit, they they don't really have a whole lot of firepower. Jeremy Grant, I think, is a great player. I thought he was back when he was at OKC. He continues to improve, and he's not a bona fide superstar yet, but he's definitely going to be on the other team's scouting report, every time they go out as a main point of emphasis. And if Cade Cunningham can grow into the player that I think he's capable of being, I think Detroit definitely has something to build on. And I think it's always good for the NBA whenever Motown, Motor City get it going on. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, the Lakers did what they needed to do to win the game. The game would have been a lot closer, but of course the Lakers once again were atrocious from the free throw and from the 3-point line too. And against other teams, they probably would have lost this game. And I'm just being real, because when you go out for free throws and you shoot 60% for the game, 15 out of 25, missing 10 free throws, where Detroit actually shot 90% from free throw, 17 out of 19. Now imagine if the Lakers had shot, just made 5 more of those free throws, then the game wouldn't even been close. And Westbrook, I think, was 4 out of 8 from free throws. LeBron was 5 out of 8 from free throws. They just pretty much have to do better when they are behind the charity stripe, because those are gimme points, and they should be gimme points. And I understand you're going to miss a free throw here and there, and that some free throw shooters over the course of their career aren't as good as others. But as a whole, the Lakers really have to do better. Anthony Davis, to me, has to do better as well from the free throw line, because he's more than capable of knocking them down, especially when you are at home and you don't really have a crowd and distractions, people yelling, and things like that. But the Lakers lost on the glass too. They continued to let Detroit out-rebound them on the offensive glass. I think it was like 12-6. They doubled them up on the second chance opportunities, which kept allowing them to stay in the game, because they would take long threes. And I will say this, when teams are taking a lot of threes and they take, threes in volume, then a lot of those rebounds are going to be long rebounds. So it's not necessarily that if you got a big down in the paint that they're going to get a rebound, because a lot of these balls come out all the way back out to the free throw line and further. But it is about hustle, and when that is the case, you have to hustle and get to the ball. And a lot of the times the Lakers simply were not doing that. But to me, the bench got outplayed pretty much. THT was the bright spot off the bench. Carmelo didn't do anything off the bench. I think Wayne Ellington had 2. But the big 3, of course, combined for 82 points. LeBron with 33, AD had 24, and Westbrook had 25. And Westbrook and LeBron both had 9 assists, which means they were getting others involved. And not only that, AD, he hit the double-double as far as being able to get on the glass and have 10 rebounds, I believe it was, or maybe 11, but I know he did get for the double-double. So nobody really concerned about stats unless these stats equal into victories, because that's the only stat that really matters at the end of the day. So I think the Lakers will be licking their chops as they board the plane this afternoon, as they take a short flight up to Sacramento, take a short flight up the coast to Sacktown. And one of my favorite places, by the way. Got some family out that way too. But I think they're going to be really anxious to get some payback. I noticed LeBron and AD both said that in the post game, that they wanted payback, and they, the way they said it, that just simply let me know that they're going to be focused and going out and doing what they need to do. But like I said, the way Westbrook and LeBron are playing together, at first people, even myself, I kept saying, stagger them. But the more I watch, I think that they play well together. And then when you have a THT that can come off of the bench, because he's a player that can put pressure on the defense and create, he's capable of hitting threes. He still can show some improvement, but of course he's young. Austin Reeves came in and got 5 or 6 minutes. He was a plus last night, even though he didn't score any points. But he ran the break pretty well and played some pretty good defense. I wouldn't mind seeing him get some more minutes. To be honest, I'm not saying Avery Bradley needs to come out of the lineup, but and I'm not by any means saying start Austin Reeves, but at the end of the day, I think Austin Reeves, now Avery Bradley, when he gets hot, he's so streaky though. When he gets hot, he can make threes. But I think he had a goose egg again last night. He might have got 2 points, but he's nowhere to be found on offense. But I guess what they really need from him is defense, and he is a ball hawk. Sometimes I think he reaches in a little bit too much and gets over anxious, but he is definitely a good defender, especially at what the stage he is in his career right now. And I guess maybe that's all Frank Vogel wants out of him, because when he's a part of that starting lineup, you're going to get offense from LeBron, you're going to get offense from AD, and you're going to get offense from Westbrook. I just wish that when they were out there, maybe they had somebody who was more of a dependable knockdown three-point shooter, and maybe Avery Bradley can get it going again from outside. But I wouldn't mind seeing Malik Monk in their starting role, and I think that's something that Kendrick Nunn is going to be capable of if he can get into the starting lineup once he gets back and gets healthy, which probably won't even be until January if the Lakers are lucky. And then, of course, Trevor Ariza, he's still going to come back, and he plays pretty good defense, even though he's 36 years old. I think he'll find his way into the rotation because he's a veteran player and not afraid to shoot threes. And I know he can be a great knockdown shooter for the Lakers. And LeBron and Westbrook are more than capable of finding open shooters. So the Lakers are still very much a work in progress. By no means right now am I choosing them to win the championship, but by no means am I saying that they're not still capable of doing so. And of course, trade deadline will still be looming, and there are still some things in place that they can do, make some tweaks and some adjustments. You just never know. But at the end of the day, I still feel currently constructed once they find their rhythm, their chemistry, and build an identity, because they still don't have an identity as of yet. But once they build an identity, then that's going to make a difference, because right now you don't know, are the Lakers a three-point shooting team? Are they a paint team? Where's their defensive identity? But I think last night showed, by holding Detroit to 106 points for the game, that they are starting to get better on defense, even though it was only Detroit. I'll be interested to see the adjustments they make after looking at the film on Sacramento, to see how they can attack Fox defensively, because he really had his way with the Lakers the other night. And of course, Buddy Hield got going late in that game as well. But at the end of the day, I think the Lakers are going to go out and win that game tomorrow, push above 500, and then they will have a couple of days off as they come right back to LA. And I think they'll be at home against the Clippers on Friday. I think that's basically a Clippers home game, but either way, it's a Lakers home game. Either way. So, Clippers, they kind of tried to hang tough with Golden State on yesterday. Steph Curry got teed up, and then all of a sudden went ham in the fourth quarter, and it was a wrap. Right now, Golden State is looking like they could break their own record as far as wins, losses, because night in and night out, I don't see too many teams that's going to be able to beat them because of their style of play and how they running people outside of just running people straight out the gym. But at the end of the day, I feel like the Lakers, once they right the ship, can compete with anybody. They played Golden State once this year. They were up the majority of the game and only end up losing by 7 and gave up a fourth quarter lead. But at the end of the day, that was the first game of the season, so it was still a lot of filling out to do, and nobody really knew how great Golden State was going to be, especially if they was comparing it to last year. But that's a thought for another day. But I got things I need to handle on this morning. So just as always, man, it's your boy B New. I'm hollering right on to the real man, and much love to these haters. I'm out.